This is the Everyday Encouragement Podcast with Beth Sargent, where you will be encouraged to be confident, courageous, and inspired in everyday life.
Welcome to the Everyday Encouragement Podcast. My name is Beth Sargent, your host. Every week, I'm going to share encouragement that you can use every day in your workplace, in your family, as you follow your dreams, your goals, and as you go through seasons of life. All of us need someone to encourage us and to believe in us. Every week, I look forward to spending time with you, catching up with you, and encouraging you through life. I want this time with you to be like we are sitting at your favorite coffee shop and we're having a cup of coffee together. At the end of this podcast, I hope that you would subscribe, share, and give a 5-star review. When you subscribe, share, and give a 5-star review, that helps me to reach more people. Today, I want to share one of the number one prayer requests that we get almost every day, and that is people wanting to become healthy. They are wanting to feel better and that they need healing in their body and that they're wanting to lose weight. I want to share about how I took charge about 10 years ago with my health. At the end of this podcast, I'm going to share 3 action steps that you can begin today to help take charge of your health. I have a confession to make. I was addicted to food. January the 15th, 2010 will be forever etched in my mind. It was the day that God revealed that I had an addiction to food. Our church participates in a corporate 21-day of prayer and fasting each year at the beginning of January. It was during this fast that God spoke to me. I was at church that day for prayer. I had just finished praying and I was being still. And as clear as could be, God spoke to me and said, "You are addicted to food. You love food too much and you think about food too much." I will be honest, that is not what I wanted to hear that day. And it did not feel good hearing that, especially from the Lord. I never struggled with my weight. I was always a smaller size growing up. But then as I become a mom and started having children, I did start putting the weight on. I gained 50 pounds with my first child. And after I had my first child, I never lost that 50 pounds. Then I had another child, and then I had another child. And I remember always using the excuse, well, I just had a baby, so I've got a little bit of extra weight. But the thing was, the extra weight wasn't just from my pregnancies, but it was from something much deeper than that. I was a person that when I was stressed out, I wanted to eat. When I had someone hurt me or when I was sad, I wanted to turn to food for comfort instead of turning to God. My doctors would tell me that I needed to lose weight, but when someone would tell me I needed to lose weight, it just made me want to go eat a cheeseburger. I was completely rebellious about it. I want to ask today, if you're honest, have you ever felt tired, frustrated with your weight, or upset about how you look? Have you lost your confidence or your self-esteem? That's exactly where I was. I felt like an embarrassment to my family. I was embarrassed. And I felt miserable. I felt like the extra weight that I was carrying was hindering me from doing all kinds of activities with my family, with my children. I hated going shopping for clothes because nothing ever fit right. Every year I would go up a size in clothes, and I felt like it was hopeless. I had 100 pounds to lose, and I was so overwhelmed. It was going to take something so much greater than a fad diet to get me to make a lifelong change and to become healthy. I want to share my prayer that I wrote in my journal that day. Today is day 6 of our fast. God has been speaking to me about things I need to change and need help with. The Lord is speaking to me that I am addicted to food. I love food more than I love reading the Word or spending time. I pray, Lord, that you would break every addiction to food off of my life now in the name of Jesus. Lord, I pray that you would reveal to me and bring to light what I need healing from. I don't know how I have allowed sleep and food to become so important to me. Lord, I pray this would be a change in my life forever so that I can live healthy for you. Maybe today you may find yourself in that situation. Maybe you want to become healthier. And when I say healthy, that doesn't mean that it has to be a specific amount on the scales. I'm talking about being healthy that you feel better. So maybe today you're listening and you're like, you know what? That's me. I need to become healthier, but I feel so overwhelmed. I want to encourage you today. You're not alone. You're not the only one out there that's felt that way. I was there. And you know what? If I can do this, I know that you can do this. That day when I was sitting at church and God revealed that to me, I couldn't believe that I was addicted to food. But He was right. I was. I thought about food too much. After we got done finishing a meal, I would think, okay, what am I going to eat next? And I just had become obsessed with food. And I want to encourage you today that you can overcome that. And that day in 2010, something happened that forever changed my heart. I believe the Lord heard my prayer, the desperation of how I truly wanted to be healthy. And from that day, a healing began. A great work inside of me started taking place. My transformation started with a prayer. I would love to tell you that the desire to lose weight happened that very moment or the very next day, but it didn't. And that day when I said that prayer, I asked Him to come and heal the hurts that are in my heart. You know, I believe that there are times that we go through things in life and we're hurt. Somebody may say something to hurt us. There may be disappointments that we've went through in life, discouragements. And when we don't know how to handle those things, we don't know what to do, sometimes we can turn to food for our comfort. And you know what? I had found that there had been times in my life that I had been hurt by people, that I had had some disappointments that happened. Things didn't work out the way that I had set out for them to work. And I truly medicated myself with food. One thing I did learn with that was when I did medicate myself with food, it only lasted for a short period of time, that peace. See, food or medicine is never going to give us the peace that only God can give us. And so it only lasted for a short period of time. And then whenever something else happened, whenever I was upset or if I was stressed, I would immediately go back to food. My husband and I always joke about this. Before we started our journey on becoming healthier, whenever we would get stressed out, our first reaction, let's go to Dairy Queen and let's go get a Blizzard. And I remember a time when I got a phone call from my mom, and they thought that her colon cancer had came back. And we were in our journey of becoming healthier. And that day, I was so upset thinking, oh my mom's cancer came back. But I realized in that moment that my first reaction was not, I'm going to go get something to eat, but my first reaction was, you know what? I'm going to go pray and I'm going to go walk. So you know what? If you are in that place where, hey, you say, I turn to food when I'm stressed out. I turn to food when I'm upset. I want to let you know that you're able to change that habit, that you're going to be able to look at food in a different way. By the time we're done with this podcast, I'm going to be able to share some action steps that you can take for that. And I wish that it had happened immediately for me once I said that prayer. But there was a work that God had to do inside of me, and there came a wake-up call. I want to ask you, have you ever had a wake-up call? Have you ever had one of those moments that it woke you up and you said, something has to change? That wake-up call came for me 7 months later in August of 2010. We were getting my husband ready to go on a missions trip to El Salvador. We had just helped build a church over there, and he was getting ready to go participate in the dedication of the church. And I went to church that day, was doing some things in the office, and all of a sudden, I had this excruciating pain in my stomach. He took me to the hospital, and we found out that I was going to have emergency gallbladder surgery. I had my gallbladder surgery. I came home. I was recuperating from the surgery, and everyone was at church. And I got to thinking, here I was in my 30s, and I just had gallbladder surgery. And 2 years before that, I had had lung surgery. I had lung surgery because I had the flu, I had pneumonia, I had staph infection in my lungs, and a lung collapsed. They had to do emergency lung surgery, and they said that it was a miracle that I was even alive. And I got to looking at my life, and I was thinking of how I didn't feel good all the time. I was always feeling tired, and I wasn't happy with the way that I looked, and I was always conscious about it. And then having that gallbladder surgery, and 2 years before that I had lung surgery, and I was only in my 30s. And I told the Lord, something has to happen. I'm done with this. I've got to make a change. That day, my husband came home from church, and I shared with him, I said, I've got to make a change. Something has to change. I want to be able to be the best mom that I can be, the best wife that I can be. I want to be able to do all that God's created me to do. And in order to do that, I'm going to have to feel better. I'm going to have the energy to be able to do it. And in that moment, God helped change that for me. I had tried for years to lose weight. I had tried every kind of diet there was. The diet would only last for a half of a day, and then I just gave up. I didn't have the willpower to do it. I didn't have the self-control to do it. But then something happened at that time, because I believe the day that the Lord spoke to me that I was addicted to food, there was a special grace that came upon me to help me to become healthier. Today, I want to encourage you that if you need to become healthier, if there's something that you need to do to make changes in your lifestyle for your health, if you need to lose weight and it's been a battle, it's been a struggle for years, then I want to encourage you today, you can do it. I want to let you know that nothing's impossible with God, and we can't do it without His help. But we can't just say, okay, you told me I was addicted to food, go ahead and fix it. It takes things on our part. So that day, I had had enough. I had had enough of feeling bad. I had enough of feeling tired, and I had enough of going to the stores and not being able to find anything that fit me. And I decided that was it. I had to make some changes. Now, I want to encourage you today that if that's where you are, don't be overwhelmed with the things that you need to do to make those changes. We started out slowly, and we started making some changes, some healthy lifestyle changes that we would be able to carry on for the rest of our life. Now, sometimes when we see that we've got all this weight to lose, we want to go do something that seems impossible. We want to go and start out crazy strong for something and know that that's not realistic, that we're not going to be able to do that for the rest of our life. We want it to be a healthy lifestyle. So my husband and I started on that healthy lifestyle in August 2010. It's been almost 10 years, and I have lost 100 pounds, and I've been able to keep that off. And it's not been easy. It's not been easy at all. It's taken dedication. I've had to be mindful of it, and I had to know that there was a reason that I wanted to become healthy. My reasons were not because I wanted to be a specific size. My reason wasn't because I wanted to be a specific number on the scale. My reasons were I wanted to be the best mom that I could be. I wanted to be the best wife that I could be. I wanted to be the best pastor that I could be. I wanted to be the best version of what God wanted me to be. And in order for me to do that, I had to become healthy. I had to change some of the things that I was doing in my lifestyle so that I could have the energy to do all that God had created me to do. I'll never forget one time I got to listen and hear one of my favorite ministers at church, and her name is Marilyn Hickey, and she is in her 70s. And she goes throughout the nations, and she goes on trips, missions trips, and she shares the gospel. And she is in such great health. She looks wonderful. And I remember sitting that day in service thinking, you know what? Look at her being healthy the way that she needs to be, because she knows what her God-given task is. And that's one of the things that I want to do, is I want to help other people to become physically and mentally and spiritually fit for their God-given task. So there's several things that we did, that we implemented in our lifestyle so that we could become healthier, and I want to share those action steps with you. In my book, Take Charge, I share about the 3 R's. The 3 R's are that first you have to face reality. I had to face reality that I was overweight. It still bothers me to say that, if I'm honest with you. It's still hard for me to tell people I was addicted to food. It's hard to come out and say I had 100 pounds to lose. I don't know what your reality looks like. Maybe it's that you need to go ahead and just get the scales out and step on the scales. And I want you to know you can do that. But in order for us to see changes, we have to face reality. If you're going to want to change in your lifestyle, if you're going to become healthier, then you have to face reality. I had to face the reality that I had 100 pounds to lose. It seemed overwhelming, but what I had to do was I had to take that and break that up into 10-pound increments. And when I did that, it didn't seem so intimidating. It looked like I could accomplish that. I had to face that, and if I didn't make the change, I was just going to get worse. That was the thing that I had to realize, that my health was not going to get better, but it was going to continue to deteriorate if I did not make that change. What is your reality that you need to face today? I encourage you to face that. The second thing, first we take and we face reality. The second thing, we have to take responsibility. I faced reality that I was overweight. I faced reality that I had 100 pounds to lose. And then I had to take responsibility. In my prayer, I asked God to heal me for what needed to be healed. And I want to encourage you today to stop today after this podcast and just tell the Lord, you know what? I want to be healthier. Come heal what needs to be healed. Health begins with heal. Robert Urich says, a healthy outside starts on the inside. What is it on the inside do you need healed from? Is there something that caused you pain that you need healed from? Is it that you need to learn how to deal with your stress? That when you're stressed, that you go for a walk and that you pray and that you give that over to God so that He can bring you comfort. The way we can take responsibility is to come up with a plan. So a few things that you could do to take responsibility is join the gym. Don't be overwhelmed by the gym equipment. Don't get intimidated. You've got to start somewhere. Join a gym. Another thing you could do is walk. You may be listening to this and saying, well, I can't afford the gym. Well, you can afford to go on a walk because it's free. The first 50 pounds that I ever lost, my husband and I walked outside and we changed the way that we ate. And there was no gym equipment. There was no gym for the first 50 pounds that I lost. So start out on a walk. If you can't walk very far, that's okay. We started out taking one lap around our neighborhood. I think it was 5 minutes. And then the next day we increased it by 1 minute. And the next day we increased it by another. And then before you know it, we were walking a mile a day. It's not that you go out the first day and walk 3 miles, because then you can cause damage to your body, but you can also discourage yourself because that was too much. Start small and build your way up. Another thing you can do to take responsibility is to drink water. They say in order for you to not be dehydrated that you should take the number of your body weight, however much you weigh, divide it in half, and that's how many ounces of water that you need. Do you know that being dehydrated, it causes your brain to be foggy, it causes your muscles to hurt, it causes fatigue, and it affects your body in so many ways that maybe you've never understood that. Another thing that you can do is give up sugary drinks. We do not drink soda, but we do drink water. Another thing you can do is find a plan that works for you. That's so important. What works for one person may not work for you. And I don't have a special pill to sell you. I don't have a special shake to sell you. I don't have a special program. All I have is what I've done and how I want to encourage you that you can become healthy. I encourage you to get an accountability partner. Let them know that you are wanting to start this lifestyle and that you need help. Let them know what you're doing so they can check in and encourage you. The third thing that we can do to take charge of our health is to get rid of excuses. We've got to stop with the excuses. You can have results or excuses, but you can't have both. You've got to make your decision. I have tried and it has never worked may be an excuse. You may say, I don't have time. Well, you make time for what's important for you. You've also got to quit blaming others for the situation that you're in. You've got to take that responsibility. You may say your excuse is that no one believes in you. Well, today you can get rid of that excuse because I believe in you. I know you can do this. And it isn't anyone else's fault for the situation that you're in with your health. It's just that you've made some bad decisions in your health. No one made you eat the food. No one sat there and said, eat all this ice cream, eat all these cookies. You have to get rid of those excuses. Once I faced reality and I took responsibility, I saw results. So those are your 3 R's. You take reality, you face it, you take responsibility, and then you're going to see results. I want to encourage you today, wherever you are in your health journey, it could be looking overwhelming to you. You may have tried so many things out there, but today I wanted to share my story with you. I wanted to let you know that if I could do it, you could do it. You can be on your way to being the best, healthiest version that God has created for you to be. I hope our time together has been an encouragement to you. Please remember to subscribe, share, and leave a 5-star review. I am praying for you.
Thank you for joining us for the Everyday Encouragement Podcast with Beth Sargent. Please subscribe, share with your friends, and leave a positive review.